Welcome to House of Leo. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make these scrap buster baubles. You can use up all the last little bits of yarn that you have and make yourself some of these. Let's get going. So this bauble has a diameter of 25 centimeters. So I'm going to make this pattern to fit a 25 centimeter bauble, just this size. So using my 4mm hook and some double knit yarn, I'm going to make a magic circle and chain 2, magic ring, magic circle, chain 2, 1, 2. Now going to treble crochet UK or double crochet US into the magic circle. So you have 2 stitches. Chain 1, treble crochet twice into the magic circle, chain 1, 2 more trebles, and we're going to continue this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 8 groups of 2 with a chain between. So I'll come back to you once I've done those. Okay, so I've got 8 groups of 2 with a chain in between each. I'm going to pull my circle closed. I'm going to pull it closed but not too tight. I'm leaving a hole in the top, which is the right size for popping my bauble into. I'm going to close this circle by slip stitching into the top there. I'm going to cut and weave in my ends, but I'm going to leave this end to deal with later. I shall cut and weave in that end. So now to add our next colour, we're going to go into the chain space, so in between. I'm going to chain 2. And do another treble into that same space. So that counts as 2 stitches. Chain 1 and 2 more trebles into that space. So this is US doubles, UK trebles. So you have 4 trebles in that space with a chain in between, and we're going to do that into each chain space all along. So I shall continue round and catch up when we get to the end. So I made it round to the last stitch. I'm going to slip stitch closed, cut and weave in my ends. Taking my next colour, we're going into the middle of the 2 clusters. So we're not going between them, we're going into the middle of those. So just pick a point to start, chain 2, and I'm going to do 6 trebles into each of these. So this one counts, this chain counts as the first stitch, so I'm going to do 5 more into here. Four, 5, so that's 6 stitches. And then moving along, skipping this space and into the next chain space between these 2. 6 trebles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So again, skipping this space here, going into this space, another 6. So I'm going to continue around. If you want to pause it and catch up with me, you can do that now. So I've made it back round to the end. I'm going to close the circle, slip stitch closed, cut and weave in my ends. So with this next round, we're going to crochet into the second stitch along of your sort of flower petal shape, and we're going to do a UK double crochet or a US single crochet, and then into the next 3, 2, 3. So that is 4 stitches across the top of your petal shape, and then we're going to do a treble crochet or double crochet into the space between the row below. Pull that up and complete that stitch, and that gives you a spike between. And we're going to skip this first stitch here and do the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip this last stitch and do a treble crochet down into the row below. Skip this first stitch, 4 doubles, 2, 3, 4, skip the last stitch and treble crochet straight into the row below. And you can see it's starting to pull it in a little. So I'm going to go round. If you want to pause now to catch up with me, I shall meet you at the end. So I'm back at the end. I'm going to just slip stitch back into that first stitch we created, cut and weave in my ends. So this is beginning to curl under because of those stitches we skipped on that last row. So it's starting to curve, which will make a nice shape to fit around our ball. So our next row is going into the top. Just pick any stitch to start on. Top of your stitch, and we're doing a simple double crochet UK or single crochet US all the way around in every stitch. So I shall continue round doing the double crochet, come back to you when I've made it to the other end. So I went ahead and cut and weaved in my ends for that round. The next round is going to be a puff stitch. So working into any stitch in the round, we're going to chain 2. Now this is just a 2 stitch puff stitch because we don't want it too big. So we're going to pull up our loop, pull through all 3 and chain 1. Yarn over, skip a stitch into the next one, pull up a loop, yarn over, back into the same stitch and pull up the loop, and then we're going to pull through all of those, and that creates a little puff. So skip your next stitch, yarn over, pull up your loop, yarn over, back in, pull up your loop so you've got all of these on there, and pull through all of them, chain one. So we're going to do that all the way around. I'll show you one more time. Yarn over, skip a stitch, next stitch, pull up your loop. So you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull up a stitch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your hook. Pull through all 5 and chain 1. So continue around and I shall meet you back at the other side. So I've done my last little puff. I'm going to slip stitch closed, cut and weave my ends. And this is how it's looking so far. So for this next round, we're going to stitch into the top of the puff stitch. And we're going to do a double UK and or a single US. Getting a bit tongue-tied. And then we're going to do a treble into the stitch below between each puff. So a double at the top of the puff and a treble into the row below between each puff. So it looks like that. So in US terms, that's a single and a double. In UK terms, it's a double and a treble. Continue that around, all the way around, until you get to the other side. So I've cut and weaved in my ends, and this is how it's looking. Next, we're just going to again do another simple row of UK doubles or US singles all the way around in your next colour, on the top of every stitch. So for the next row, which is the last row on this half of the pattern, we're going to put our yarn, attach our yarn, chain 2, and then we're going to do a half double crochet all the way around. So a half double, sorry, is US term, half treble UK terms. So that's where you yarn over, pull through, and then pull through all 3. Yarn over, pull through all 3. We're going to do that all the way around, and that will be the last row on this half. So that is the first half of the bauble complete. We basically need to repeat this whole pattern again to make the second half, except this time, instead of leaving a hole for the top of our bauble to go in, we actually cinch closed the hole like this. So if you go back and repeat the pattern, you can just copy what you've done here, and I shall come back to you when I have made the second half. So I have finished the second half of my bauble. It's exactly the same, except I have pulled the circle tighter and I've basically used the same colours but in reverse. So don't forget you have your tail end there still for your loop. Place that over your bauble and you can stitch that in last to make it nice and tight around the top. Oops. And then we're going to stitch this one to this one. So I have threaded my needle and done it so the knot is on the inside. These were half double crochets, so there are actually 3 loops on this. We're going to go into the middle loop only with our needles. And this is called a whip stitch, so going from bottom to top. Bottom to top. And see that's creating a zigzag, and when we're ready we can pull that tight and that will just cinch that closed. So we're going to go all the way around the bauble using this stitch. I shall continue around and come back when I have stitched that on. Finish stitching that together. I quite like it when you can see the stitches. That just adds another little detail to it. Now all you need to do is weave in your top end. So pull that nice and tight, weave it in. Make sure they're all spread evenly. And give that a trim. And there you have it. A beautiful ball. So for my other one I added a large velvet ribbon which looked really pretty. I'm sorry, I'm not sure where I've put my other one. I shall find it in a second and show you. Hold on. So as you can see with this one I've just added a lovely velvety ribbon. You could even add a bow to them at the top here just to give them that extra something, but I just think these are really, really pretty and a great way for using up your scraps. Imagine all the different colours you can do. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed making this one and what colours you used. I'd really love to know. And follow along, subscribe for more tutorials to come soon. Thanks guys.